Hi everyone, this is page 116, your scientific method vocabulary notes. So our first vocab word is a controlled experiment. A controlled experiment is an experiment that has two setups. One, the experimental group, only one independent variable is changed. And a control group, no variables are changed. Things are kept at normal levels or conditions. Why do we have control groups? It is used as a standard for comparison with the experimental group to see what would happen naturally. So you can think about, we would have our normal, which is our control, and then we would have our experimental groups, which is what we change. So these would be changed. And we are looking at how different these two groups are. So a variable is any factor that could change an experiment. So all variables must be described with at least two words. There's an independent variable, and that is a variable that causes change. This is the one that I, the scientist, decide to change. The variable that is manipulated by the scientist. Sometimes this is also known as a manipulated variable. It's what we are testing, and it is found on the x-axis of a graph. So a little reminder, this horizontal part is the x of a graph. The dependent variable, the dv, is what changes. So it's the effect of the independent variable, the variable that is being observed and measured. So another way to remember it is that it's the data that's collected. And it's found on the y-axis of a graph, so that's our vertical. Some people also call it a responding variable. So variables held constant, some people just call this constants. These are factors that are not changed in an experiment. They stay the same. They stay constant. It allows only one variable to be tested at a time, and it should not be the dependent or independent variable. So for example, if I am growing a plant and I want to know how water affects my plant growth, how the amount of water affects plant growth, I'm going to keep everything else the same. So I'm going to keep the type of plant the same. I'm going to keep the soil the same, the pot the same, the amount of light. But the one thing I change is the amount of water. Okay, so these are what we call constants. And the thing that is changed is the amount of water. And then the dv, the data that I would collect, is the height. So it's growth. How tall did that plant get based off of changing its water? All right, so another keyword is hypothesis. This is called the educated guess. It is a prediction or a guess based on observations and your own knowledge. So maybe you have some prior knowledge about plants. And it must include two predicting words. So like I said, we call this an educated guess or an inference. So that here is the where it's talking about two predicting words. We are going to use this sentence frame for all hypotheses that we do in science. So if the IV affects the DV, then your prediction or your guess will go here. Okay, so in the example I gave, if the amount of water affects plant growth, then whatever your prediction is. So I'm going to predict that then more water will mean more growth. Okay, so that is some vocab to have for the scientific method. Let me know if you have any questions.